think that I heard a beer over there, Willie.
Yep, I just popped my celebratory Heineken.
I had a few celebratory drinks during the game. It got hairy for a sec, but 2 big games in a row. It's awesome.
Yeah, but this is not just a victory. This is beating the Raiders, and it makes it extra sweet.
The Chargers could be last in the division, and beating the Raiders always feels this good.
Exactly. We can lose every game, but as long as we beat the Raiders, it's a good year. It's going to be a good year. We've already beat the Raiders. That was a total beatdown. Just when they started to give the Raiders a little bit of hope there, and the announcers started to really jump on the bandwagon about, oh, yeah, they're going to come back and do it again. You know, and then they just kind of, Chargers keep going for it on 4th down and making it every time. I loved it, especially that in that last quarter when they kept that drive alive when they went for it on 4th and 2. And that was a killer for the Raiders.
Staley is not afraid. Last week we saw it with some of those gutsy calls. This week, even though they didn't get the fake punt, the fact they went for that, like they were really close to getting it if it wasn't for that Renfro hit. We challenged the Raiders 3rd and 1 at the end of the first half, which ended up us getting a touchdown out on the next possession. 4th and 2 in the middle of the 3rd quarter, 4th and 3 in the 4th quarter, like you just said. I mean, Joe Staley's savage. He does not mess around.
Yeah, I love it, man. They just kind of get on going.
Sorry, Brandon Staley. I said Joe. I think that was the old Niners tackle. Brandon Staley.
From the very start, the Chargers really set the tone. They got the ball first, just ran it down the field, I don't know, 8 or 9 plays and 75 yards, 6-minute drive. I don't think Herbert even had an incomplete pass in that first drive.
Or the second touchdown drive, he didn't either. The 2 first touchdown drives, he was perfect on both those drives.
Yeah, and then after the Chargers score, what do the Raiders do? 3 and out, you know? And then the Chargers come to the ball again all over again. So that was, in the beginning, totally deflating for the Raiders. Like that announcer said, definitely tell it you has. Raiders couldn't do anything wrong. Even when that guy, what's his name, Waller, their tight end, finally made a big first down. We talked about the taunting. You have to love that taunting.
I loved it. I'll take it every time. We didn't need it, but I'll take it.
This is what you're talking about, Nick. Too. That was a total, play. The guy may have nothing to do with taunting the opponent, but yet they called a penalty on him. That was great. They couldn't do anything.
They're ticky-tacky with Raiders Chargers. When I went to the Charger home game against them a few years ago, they cut, instead of the 3rd quarter cutoff for alcohol, they cut it off at the end of halftime because it's just the Raiders Chargers stuff. So they're not going to let any of that stuff fly on the field. I am going to say I wasn't surprised, but obviously disappointed in the Charger home turnout. I see a lot of black jerseys in the crowd, but hopefully, this win will start getting some LA fans more excited and brave enough to go to these kinds of events.
That's what they got to do. They just have to win, and then maybe they're going to get their fans. But I don't know. There's always going to be Raider fans in LA, and I don't know. It must be just the black uniforms. I don't know what it is.
Well, they're big enough for Scherzer and the commissioner to come, so at least we got a little bit of showing out for this game.
Hey, man, I have to give a shout-out to Austin Ekeler. Here the announcers were whining about why Herbert wasn't throwing the ball deep to Mike Williams, and meanwhile, all they're doing is just controlling the clock, getting big chunks of yardage on the ground. I think Ekeler ended up with over 120 yards rushing, and then catching the ball. I don't know. He was definitely a difference maker in the game, and the touchdown he scored, the one that he caught and the one he ran, that guy's definitely underrated. And if anybody has him in fantasy, they scored a lot of points tonight.
No, they definitely did, and that's why they call him the PFP, the pound for pound. You see that hit on our net? Unfortunately, took him out of the game. He looked like he might have really hurt himself, which I'm never rooting for. But I mean, that he knocked him straight on his ass, and just huge running plays. We got Rountree kind of rounding up the cleanup runs. He looked like he's going to be a good goal line threat just on some of those short yardage plays I saw from him. And I mean, we can't just limit it to Ekeler and not so much Williams this time, but him and Allen, because that first drive, I think 4 wide receivers caught a pass and 4 running backs ran the ball. Like, they were all over the place. So a lot of offensive talent.
Also, the tight end Jared Cook, he had a couple of clutch catches too. So
I think he had a 4th down one, some big one. He outplayed Waller for sure. Everyone was counting on Waller to have a big game.
And here last week, I was complaining about a couple of weeks ago, complaining about the Chargers defensive line. They were great tonight. I mean, especially in the first half, they were putting a lot of pressure on Carr, and then they really limited the Raiders' rushing game. I think they only had Raiders only had 45 yards on the ground. So the Charger defensive line, Tillery, Bosa, especially, they definitely controlled the line of scrimmage, especially in the first half. Third quarter, they got set back on their heels a little bit, but yeah, overall, man, I thought the defensive line, and of course, have to mention Derwin James and that interception at the end, it pretty much sent all the Raider fans back to the 405 freeway.
Was that James or Asante Samuel Jr. who got the pick at the end?
Nick, I don't know what you were smoking, but I'm pretty sure it was Derwin James that got.
Okay, I was just so excited. I had to pick up my phone right away because the first half of the game, all my friends are like, "Wow, Chargers look good. Chargers look good." That third quarter, not only do people start saying "uh-oh," but then all the Raider fans in my group text start creeping out of their hole a little bit and get brave, and haven't heard anything since halfway through the fourth quarter. So definitely might have missed that at the end there. But once the ball was in our hands, I knew the game was over.
And, just in general, the defense played great. I mean, they were talking about Carr averaging 400 passing yards a game, right? I mean,
471 total yards for the offense.
How many did he get?
Well, they held their offense to 49 yards just in that first half. Obviously, he kind of blew it open in the third quarter, but I mean, the Chargers of old would have collapsed, and they would have played to not lose. And I think some of the third quarter offense of the Chargers to try to run out the clock showed a little bit of that. But as I said earlier, the confident play calling on the critical situations make me think we are playing to win. And, they took the top off on a couple big plays and had a couple missed opportunities, but so did we. So
I thought the constant pressure the Chargers were able to put on Carr, even when they didn't actually sack him, was great. The defensive play caller who was sending Drew Tranquill in on those blitzes was great. I mean, he didn't get the sack, but old Carr had to throw the ball away before he wanted to. So that I think was also something that the Charger defense threw in, something that maybe Carr wasn't quite expecting. And with Kenneth Murray out, it was really good to see somebody step in and kind of fill his shoes.
Yeah, are we going to talk about the lightning? Remember earlier when we were filming, you heard the first big clash of lightning, and we got off, and all of a sudden the Charger game's delayed, and everyone's saying it, but bull up, man. That was crazy. It was lightning up here in the fourth quarter when the Chargers came back and put some more points on the board, and we were getting it up here a little north of you. So, throughout the game, it was a theme. It was definitely a very magical night for the Chargers.
Some people were wondering why they even delayed the game because of lightning. Isn't it a dome stadium, or is it open?
I thought it was, but apparently I guess it's not. Maybe in the middle it kind of has an opening, but I thought it had a retractable roof. Maybe it wasn't set up, but regardless, it definitely was appropriate.
But yeah, like all these wimps in California, they postponed the game just because of a little lightning. It wasn't even raining. They're just I guess that's a good enough reason. You want to get anybody hurt.
Yeah, would you think of that fullback pass out of the backfield to that wide receiver? Who was it? Anderson. It was very sneaky, and he did kind of like a little wheel route out of the backfield, and no one covered him.
Yeah, that was another one of those play calls that you were kind of wondering where it came from.
And I really liked the pooch kick too at the end. I thought that was clever and fun. Haven't seen that in the NFL in a long time.
And I think the fact that Chargers were able to win without getting a really big performance out of their wide receivers, Allen and Mike Williams. I think that says a lot about the effectiveness of their offense in general, and that they could move the ball down the field, in other ways, especially with Ekeler and even not Justin Jackson, but the other rookie running back. He really helped out too.
Yeah, I mean, Allen had 7 receptions, so on 11 targets, so they were definitely trying to get him involved. Meanwhile, you got Mike Williams 4 targets, and then
Parham, I forgot about Parham.
Ekeler,
He got the touchdown, right? Wasn't that Parham that got the first touchdown? So I mean, they've got a pretty strong group of wide receivers, and I'm looking pretty optimistic about Herbert continuing to have some big games. He did have Williams on that wide open pass down the sidelines, but he just overthrew him. But if he would have connected on that, that would have been a touchdown for sure.
Yeah, that's the matchup that you want to see. If not a touchdown, he'd definitely come down with it. But we gotta look ahead now. We got the Browns and their 2-headed monster rushing attack. We already kind of went against a similar rushing attack with the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys had a better passing offense, and we held them to 20 points. So I think we can definitely hang with the Browns next week. So we'll just have to see what happens, Willie.
Normally, you would anticipate a letdown, after you beat the Chiefs, and then you come back and beat the Raiders on a Monday night, national TV game. Every game, I'm sure, in the NFL is a big game, but Cleveland is not a team that the Chargers don't. The Chargers want to sleep on because, Baker Mayfield and Chubb, and Cleveland is a legit AFC contender. So that's why I said at the beginning the Chargers have such a strong schedule. I'm happy that they're 3-1. 3-1, really, 3-1 after 4 games, and that's against some pretty good teams. If we look at the Washington football team, they've come back and they've won a lot of games, and they're in a good team. The Cowboys, they're talking about them being one of the elites in the NFC. And they barely lost that game, but since then they beat the Chiefs, AFC champs from last year, and the Raiders. Everybody was talking about us, being the new Raiders. So things are really looking good, and the Chargers, I think, are the team to beat in the AFC West.
Oh, 100%. I mean, they have it right now. We'll see when they play the Chiefs and the Raiders again. But, Willie, go enjoy your beer. Thanks for everyone for listening. Make sure you check out our actual podcast coming out on Wednesdays. And, Willie, we'll do another post-game after the Browns next week. We'll find some time. I'll be in South Carolina, but we'll make it happen on Sunday.
All right. Well, have a good one. Go Chargers.
Yeah, both